No, this isn't clickbait. I truly think this is the best hot hatch money can buy right now. I'm of course talking about the Toyota GR Yaris. So if the first generation car was already so good, what have Toyota changed to make this even better as a rally homologation hot hatch? Wait, before you buy a Toyota GR Yaris, you have to visit productreview.com.au because their owners will leave reviews of their very own cars and tell you their experience of what it was like to live with cars like a Toyota GR Yaris or any car for that matter. And if you want to tell people what it was like to live with your car, you can also leave a review there for others to read. Now the Toyota GR Yaris is a rally homologation car, meaning that Toyota has to build these and sell them to the public in order to race in the World Rally Championship. Now it's no secret that the GR Yaris is a fantastic hot hatch. The first generation of this car had lots of people saying very good things about it, including me. I've done 2 full reviews on the previous generation, but now it's time to take this new generation for a drive. And I've already driven a lot of kilometers on this car on both road and dirt, and I can say right now, this is my favorite hot hatch. So first of all, Toyota gives you more power than the previous generation. You now get 224 kilowatts instead of the old 200 kilowatts of power. And instead of 370 newton meters of torque, you now get 400 newton meters of torque from a 1.6 litre 3-cylinder turbocharged engine. And what's brilliant is that the aftermarket community has done a lot of testing for Toyota to show just how much power you can extract from this engine. And trust me, 224 kilowatts isn't the most amount of power you can get from this. Some people are pushing 600 horsepower from stock internals. And what else is impressive is that even the bonnet is super lightweight, so you can tell this is a bit different from a regular Toyota Yaris. Toyota have also reworked the front end to improve cooling, and they've also improved the way you can replace the front intercooler if it gets damaged from any rocks if you're out on track or driving on any gravel roads. And I also love the fact they put GR4 into the front intercooler because that just looks so much cooler than a regular intercooler. And you even have a water spray function to cool this down if it's getting too hot. And there's also additional cooling up here for the new 8-speed automatic transmission. Oh my gosh, this is the most controversial part of this car. I was not excited when Toyota announced an 8-speed torque converter automatic option for the GR Yaris, but this is something completely different from a regular Toyota automatic transmission. Of course, it's an 8-speed, not a CVT, and this thing has been developed strictly for the GR Yaris and the GR Corolla. Notice how it sits higher up here, closer to the steering wheel, meaning that your movement from your hand to the shifter is still very small, just like it is on the manual transmission model. Additionally, your shifting patterns are in a sequential pattern. So you push up to go down a gear and you pull down to go up a gear when you're in manual mode. Or you can use these paddles on the steering wheel, which have a very satisfying click to them, even though they're made of plastic. And the really clever thing with this automatic transmission is that it is designed to enhance the driving experience here. It is not made to make it easier to drive. It's actually designed to make this quicker around the racetrack. And so with this transmission, you have a couple of different drive modes. If you go into normal, sport, and eco, it will change the shifting pattern and behavior of this car. Of course, if you want the most aggressive shifting pattern, you would go into sport. And you might have noticed some other things have changed in here too. Now you can see here there's actually been a very big change to the interior of the GR Yaris. They've actually completely changed the whole setup of the dashboard here, and it's not a dashboard layout you're gonna find on a regular Yaris. Toyota have bent the dashboard around you to make it easier to touch everything with one hand without leaning forward. So it means if you want to change things like the air vent position or go all the way over here and adjust your drive modes or even touch the screen, you don't have to lean forwards, and there's also a very flat aspect to the dashboard, meaning you have great visibility out the front, because previously the screen stuck up a bit on the dashboard, making for a very awkward small letterbox view from the rear vision mirror and the screen that was stuck on the dashboard. This is definitely one of the best interior updates I've ever seen in any update to a vehicle in this category. And I love how the seats go lower now, so I feel more sat nicely down inside the car. We have red seat belts and we have Alcantara type suede material on the doors and on the seats. And we also have lots of plastic on the interior, but it is a nice quality plastic. It doesn't feel cheap, and it just feels like you are sitting inside a rally car made for the road. And round the back, Toyota have combined the cluster here to make it nice and compact, and they wanted to give the GR Yaris a distinct light signature and also make it easier to see the lights when you're out on track. So they've condensed it down into this rear light bar setup. And of course you have a new rear diffuser setup, which helps with air smoothing and cooling underneath the car and out the back. And you still get a carbon composite roof. It has a carbon fiber looking skin, but underneath here here you have a bunch of pressed pieces of carbon fiber, which helps reduce the center of gravity of the GR Yaris. But of course, the GR Yaris still comes with the GR4 all-wheel drive system, and this GTS model gets forged wheels, but that also means it gets Torsen limited slip differentials, helping you corner a bit better if you spend a bit more money. And it allows you to send up to 70% of your power to the rear wheels, and you have a dial inside the car that allows you to choose between a gravel mode now, or a normal mode, or a track mode. And all those will change the power distribution, allowing you to go up to a 50-50 split, or go for a rear bias setup, or go for a front bias setup, which I think is easily the coolest all-wheel drive system in any hot hatch in this category. Now, another improvement you can't see is that Toyota have actually improved the rigidity and stiffness of the GR Yaris in its second generation, so it's even stiffer and more rigid than the first generation car, which was already full of additional welds compared to a regular Toyota Yaris. Oh, I forgot to mention that there are definitely seats in the back for 2 additional people, but it is abysmal in terms of how much space they get. So you have to really think of this as a 2-seater hot hatch that just happens to have 2 seats in the back. And also come and check out the boot space here. It is not good at all because you have an all-wheel drive system crammed in back here, meaning that yes, you can see my stuff back here barely fits. I've had to put the seat down, and underneath here, oh, if you can see, you're gonna get a little water bottle for your intercooler spray function, and also your batteries back there as well. Now, this is the most expensive version of the Toyota GR Yaris you can buy right now. This is the GTS model with the 8-speed transmission and this beautiful silver paint, putting you at a price tag of just under $70,000 drive away. But you have to remember, there are no other rally homologation hot hatches on sale today apart from this. But if you don't care about that, that price tag brings you very close to something like a Honda Civic Type R or a Volkswagen Golf R. And this car is a beast on gravel. I was taken by surprise when I took my first GR Yaris onto a gravel road like this. I was convoying with a Volkswagen Golf GTI, and they were feeling every bump here really bad. They were shuddering their car, and they just felt like they were being shaken all over the place. Meanwhile, the GR Yaris just dances on this surface. It's incredible. I haven't felt anything like this in a hot hatch that you can also take onto the track. This thing pivots and it moves, and it just feels like it's so connected to the driver, even when you're on loose surface like this. And it really does live up to the fact that this was derived from a rally car. And of course, you can turn off a gravel road just like that, go back into track mode, and you're in sport response, and just put your foot down. This is the best hot hatch on sale today. Now, why is that? I haven't felt this connected to a hot hatch in a long time. I drove the first generation GR Yaris extensively. I've done 2 reviews on that car, and I enjoyed it. I loved the manual transmission. I loved the connected feel you get with that car, but this just feels like a next step up. It's the evolution of the GR Yaris, and they've done such a good job at making sure that they haven't ruined the recipe that made that car special in the first place. We have extra rigidity here. We have a refined motor. We have an intercooler spray button here if you want to cool down your intercooler. This thing has just got all the thoughtful touches that you really wished and you might not have known you wanted in the GR Yaris that was prior to this one. Now, the biggest shock for me is the 8-speed automatic transmission. This is a torque converter unit, but it's really close to the steering wheel, so it feels like a giant sequential shifter. It's also been developed just for the GR product line. It's not like it's ripped out of a Camry, for example. This is unlike any Toyota transmission you've ever tested. The responsiveness from the gear changes are incredible. Oh my gosh, I'm shoved in the back when I go through for a gear change, and this thing lives up to the hype as a rally car for the road. Now, the responsiveness in the chassis is great. You have double wishbones on the rear. I don't feel like I'm crashing over the pavement here, which is great. I don't want to feel like I'm breaking my back like in some track-oriented hot hatches. Here, I feel like this has got plenty of suppleness underneath, but I'm feeling a lot of the road as well. I absolutely adore this car, and I even love the fact that you even have beefy brakes to brake up when you need to go. I love the sounds that this car makes. You have big turbo whistling happening underneath the bonnet. You have a nice growl coming from that 1.6 litre 3-cylinder engine. You have insane responsiveness from that motor too, and this gearbox adds to the driving experience. Normally, I advocate for no one to touch the automatic transmission when they're buying a special driver-focused car, like a Mustang, for example, or even like a Toyota GR86, for example, that has a rubbish automatic transmission, but this is something special, and this deserves your attention. I also love in this transmission you can kick down to the floor and it will put you down into the lowest possible gear, just like Porsche did in the 911s in the early days of the Tiptronic transmission, and it will give you instant response, which I think is so special. Now, the only thing that I get a bit worried about is the shorter wheelbase here. You do have to be conscious when you're on track, for example, because I've been around a lot of Toyota GR Yaris's on track days, and they do tend to do a bit of a pirouette if they're not looked after properly, because that short wheelbase can sometimes spin around on you if your tires aren't inflated properly, if they're too cold or anything like that. That is the only downside to this shorter wheelbase, but it does mean that you do get a nice amount of balance and pivot when you're on dirt, for example, or you want to go through tight corners at sensible speeds. Now, I used to think that the Honda Civic Type R was the best hot hatch money could buy, but that's really if you're going to the track often. If you're not and you have to live with that car day to day, I think this is easier to live with. I think it's easier to have more fun with this at lower speeds and on back roads, and I just love the fact this thing is a tiny all-wheel drive rally-inspired monster that you can buy from a Toyota showroom with a Toyota warranty. With all that said, my name's Cameron, this is Product Review Cars. Thank you so much for watching.